Hello, I'm Phil Gower from Phil Gower Bird Photography. Thanks for joining me on another video today. Now, unfortunately, you catch me a little bit under the weather. No, it's not coronavirus, thankfully, but it's a back problem I've had for quite a few years now. It's a herniated disc bulge. Now, I've had lots of memorable bulges in my time, but this ain't one of them. So I'm confined to bed for a few days, so feeling a little bit bored. And if I'm honest, a bit frustrated that I can't, quickly follow up on my last video. Now, the last video went down really well with over 1,300 new subscribers. So thanks very much for that. Amazing response. It really is appreciated. Now, I've been lying here contemplating my navel for the last couple of days, and it dawned on me that I've never really explained why I created this YouTube channel and, who it's intended for. In fact, one of my best birding buddies asked me a simple question: why bother? So let's have a go at answering that question, and let's see who this channel is for and where it fits. So why did I create this channel? Well, I created it to help me develop and improve my own bird photography, and to help any like-minded people who want to go on a similar journey. I know I've got a great deal to learn, and as bird photographers we are probably all somewhere along a path of a similar journey. You may be familiar with the 4 stages of competency. Now, this was first described by Noel Burch in the 1970s. Burch suggested that in terms of learning and becoming competent in an activity, and I include bird photography in this, there are 4 clear stages we have to go through. Understanding this can help us identify just how far we've got to go to be the best we can be. Now, in my early days as a bird photographer back in 2013, I bought myself a second-hand Canon 7D Mark I and an EF 400 f5.6. Now, that was a superb crop sensor camera and a top quality birding lens, and you can pick these up today for a song. I have to say, it took me a while to come to terms with the gear, let alone the fundamentals of bird photography. I was firmly in the grip of Burch's first stage of competency, and that's unconscious incompetence, and in plain English, I was rubbish and I didn't really know it. I would look at my images and think how fine they looked. Here are a selection of images from those early days. I think you'll agree I wasn't very good at bird photography, and I didn't really know I wasn't any good. I was indeed unconsciously incompetent. I didn't really know what good looked like. I had no real awareness of the fundamentals of exposure, focus and depth of field, colour balance, composition and light. The vast majority of photographers and bird photographers start off in this position. In fact, I was best described as a complete novice bird photographer. So if you are unconsciously incompetent or a novice bird photographer, don't worry. It's completely normal. You will get better. And the good news is that this YouTube channel will definitely help you. So what I did at this stage, which many, but sadly not all novices do, was to seek out knowledge and understanding. I enrolled on an internet photography course. I sought out information and enlightenment via books, magazines, and internet sites like YouTube. I also studied the work of other more proficient bird photographers, joining sites like Flickr. I then started to become aware of my own skill level, my strengths and weaknesses, and began to see myself on a scale related to my learning and development as a photographer. I began to understand the fundamentals of photography, such as exposure, focus, depth of field, colour balance, composition and light. In 2015, I bought myself some better gear, a full-frame Canon 5D Mark III and a second-hand EF 500 f4. I had entered stage 2 of my journey, which was conscious incompetence. I was still rubbish, but now I knew it. I still wasn't a particularly good bird photographer, but I was beginning to understand why I wasn't good. and what and how I needed to improve. I knew I was becoming better, but had a long way to go. At this second stage, I thought of myself as an intermediate bird photographer with a great deal to learn. This stage and the awareness it brought was critical, because it spurred me on and gave me something to aim for. The good news is that if you are consciously incompetent or an intermediate bird photographer, then this YouTube channel is definitely for you. Now things began to change for me. With a lot of practice and a lot more study, I started to move to the conscious competence stage. I was becoming an advanced bird photographer. And not only that, I knew I was better. I knew why I was better, and I knew the journey that had got me there. At this stage, that's late 2017, I invested in a Canon 5DSR and a 7D Mark II, and an EF 600 f4 and 100 to 400 f4 to 5.6. All this gear was fantastic. I started to take some of my best bird images, and here are some you can see now. Now, if you are consciously competent at bird photography or an advanced bird photographer, then there will be plenty in this YouTube channel for you. Now, there is still a long way for me to go in terms of learning and development as a bird photographer. I know I have some hurdles to jump to get to the final stage. It's still some distance away, but I know how I'm going to get there. I started by upgrading my gear last year. I'm now invested in the Sony system, the Sony a7R4, the Sony a9 II, the FE 600 f4 lens and the FE 200 to 600. 43 years working and paying into a pension enabled me to make these once in a lifetime purchases. Now, I've retired more times than Phil Collins. I first retired in 2018, then again in 2019 and again in 2020. They just don't want me to leave at work. But year on year I've been able to devote more and more time to bird photography and many birding trips away. These have been absolutely fantastic. Now, I know I'll get to the next level with more and more practice. I need to open myself up to new ideas and the work and teachings of other bird photographers. I need to experiment with my own photographic style and techniques and be open to those of others. In this way, I hope to reach the final stage of Burch's model, which is unconscious competence or an expert bird photographer. In other words, bird photography will become second nature to me. Without too much thought, I'll know how to use the camera to perfectly expose an image, to draw attention through targeted focus and depth of field, to render beautiful colours and frame and arrange the composition using light to make the picture as attractive and compelling and as stunning as possible. When I'm unconsciously competent or an expert, all these things will come naturally and I won't even have to think about them. Well, not too much. This is why I started this YouTube channel, to gain feedback, the feedback I need to help me with my journey to be an expert bird photographer, and to help others who are or want to come on a similar journey. If you are unconsciously competent or an expert bird photographer already, then please don't think this YouTube channel is not for you. There's a danger that once you reach expert status, you'll get complacent and lazy. When things come naturally, there's a tendency to think you don't have to push hard anymore. But there is a secret fifth stage to the competency model. This is mastery. This is what separates world-class photographers from us mere mortals. So don't be lazy. Keep tuning in and seeking new learning opportunities. Let's attain mastery together. I hope this video has given you food for thought and a reason to keep watching. It would be great to hear where you think you are on the photographer's journey. Let me know in the comments below. I'll always try to respond to your comments. In terms of the future, I'm going to try to make content that has relevance and will keep you moving through the stages of competency, no matter where you are now. I'm working on a couple of videos right now that will cover perch and general bird photography, the techniques, tips and tricks. I hope to film these as soon as I can get out of this pit. Until then, thank you for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.